This is ANAplus, powered by the African News Agency. My name is Lance Witten. You're watching News Bites, where we give you everything you need to know about Africa now. Zimbabwe is heading for another crisis. Inflation has reached 175%, and public sector workers turned down an increase last week because it's simply too little to survive. The Southern African nation has one of the lowest GDP per capita in the world. The average salary in Zimbabwe is 1,830 Zimbabwean dollars, or $5 US, which is enough to buy you maybe 2 loaves of bread. Fuel prices have skyrocketed, and some people can spend at least 8 hours in a queue for fuel, according to the National Business Chamber in Zimbabwe. Now, how do you have enough time to get to work when you're spending 8 hours a day just waiting to get petrol to get you to work? Well, let me take you on a journey as we cast our minds back to before Robert Mugabe, one of Africa's longest-serving rulers, stepped down in 2017. Zimbabwe had, at around 2008, hit hyperinflation, where your money lost value between the time you withdrew it from the ATM to the time you placed it in front of the cashier at a store. Things had gotten so bad, shop assistants were changing the prices on products on their shelves several times a day. It got to the point where their currency, the Zimbabwean dollar, was so devalued, traders started accepting all sorts of other currencies as legal tender. Neighboring South Africa uses the rand, Zimbabwe's traders accepted it. China uses the yuan, Zimbabwe's traders accepted it. The economy slowly started accepting and trading in rupees, US dollars, and a few other currencies. This worked out all right for a bit, but then Zimbabwe announced that it would become illegal for anyone to use anything other than the Zimbabwean dollar as legal tender. It's not just bad where economics is concerned. Zimbabweans experience electricity cuts that last for up to 17 hours. There's also intermittent water supply, especially in the main cities of Harare and Bulawayo. Some suburbs get water 5 days a week, but others haven't had fresh running water in their taps for up to 5 weeks, increasing the risk of diseases like typhoid and cholera spreading. Now, Zimbabwe's dams are running dry thanks to climate change, but also due to failing infrastructure. The people of Zimbabwe truly have endured a lot, and there doesn't seem to be any light at the end of this dark tunnel. So how does Zimbabwe turn things around and reclaim its once proudly held moniker of Jewel of Africa? Well, one way is for the Zim dollar to recover, and for this, the country would need a massive injection of cold, hard cash. It's operating on a dual currency system at the moment, after banning all other currencies as legal tender, the Zimbabwean dollar and a Zimbabwean bond note, which the government had pegged to the US dollar, but in real terms is worth far, far less. Its cash reserves are running dry, so Zimbabwe will need a much better hard cash flow first and foremost in a bid to halt the rampant inflation. The next step would be to get Zimbabwe's ailing infrastructure back into operation. There's an extensive electricity grid, an extensive rail network. It's there, it's just in a really bad state of repair and would need another cash injection to get back up and running. Now, to this end, the Chinese government has given Zimbabwe just over $200 million US to rebuild the major airport in Harare and revamp its parliament building. Zimbabwe would also need to funnel money into its other state-owned enterprises to get back on track. Cutting government expenditure would also be a huge step forward. Robert Mugabe's government included more than 300,000 civil servants, all lavishly paid, sucking dry nearly all of the country's annual tax income, according to Bloomberg. Cutting that bloated government employee structure down would be a great step forward in the long run, but the immediate job losses could be huge. Zimbabwe finds itself once again on the brink of collapse, but at least the people of the country are more hopeful under their new-ish president Emmerson Mnangagwa than they were under their former ruler, who reigned with an iron fist from 1980 to 2017. And when you have hope, you can do anything. This is Newsbite on ANAplus. We make Africa matter.